Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lewis Mackay, and I will be your commentator for this forthcoming contest between Rashid Balagun and Jason Keller. Currently, Rashid is leading the tournament on 10 wins, and Jason is sixth. So we should be in for an interesting match. They're just starting to square the tiles off, so it'll be a few minutes before we start. But yeah, should be a good one to see. It's nice to see such a good turnout for the Niagara Falls Collins tournament. I was fortunate enough to play in it a couple of years ago. I didn't do that well, but it's an excellent tournament, very well organised, and very scenic location. So if you're ever thinking of playing in it, I'd highly recommend doing so. I hope to return there myself next year, but we'll see. Craig saying that Rashid's in orange as well as Jason. Jason, well known for liking orange or dressing in orange. So it'll be Battle of the Oranges today. Right, both players are seated and they're starting to clear the tiles away, so we'll be starting in about a minute or so, I would think. It will be Rashid to start. All right, we're underway. Rashid's drawn, so let's see what he's got. He's drawn ADEGIIV. So slightly clunky rack to start with. First option I see is Vigia, keeping DE, which looks pretty good. There's also Gived to double the G, but AI is a much worse lead than DE. So I imagine we'll see Vigia in fairly short order. Jason, in the meantime, has drawn QY, so quite a clunky rack. If Rashid does play Vigia, then he will at least be able to dump the Q for 20 or so. But Rashid's playing Vagi instead, keeping DEI, which is reasonable, but it's not as good as Vigia. Vigia is 10 points more, slightly better leave. Vagi is more defensive, though. It doesn't take an S because it's the plural of Vagus, V-A-G-U-S. So it does have that merit to it. Anyway, Jason's drawn AEENQRY. You can obviously dump the Q, which is exactly what he's done. He's done that quickly, not wasting any time. Keeping the end to play on the end, which will be useful. The board's already very closed after one move each. So that scoring insurance next turn may well prove useful. Rashid's drawn EINO, so he's stuck with 5 vowels. He does have the end to go under QI, so he can play things like INA, EINE, making QIN, keeping DIO, which is pretty reasonable. It's also very defensive. Blocks the V for floaters. There's no hooks for A, of course, at the end. He's lined up Dine, keeping 3 vowels, which is not quite as good. It's a bit more open. Obviously, there are plenty of N hooks for Dine, and AD takes N hooks as well. Jason's, in the meantime, drawn a U, having played the Q, which obviously always happens. Rashid's lined up Oni, which is also a reasonable option, although that does give away quite a lot on the triple, putting the E underneath that double letter score with the triple just 3 squares away. Yeah, I think Ina is better for defensive purposes here. But he's gone for something different. He's played DEI, making QI, keeping EINO, which is a bit more open. Still prefer Ina there, I think, but we'll see. Quackle suggesting Oni is best statically, but I expect that'll drop down the list once we start simulating that. But anyway. So Jason drew the U, having played the Q, so he's got AEENRUY. He's still got the N for hooking onto QI. There's now a second QI spot for him to use, so he could play something like Yean, YEAN next to DEI for 31, keeping ERU, which isn't great, but he's scoring well in the meantime, and looks to be doing that. Yes, he is. So that puts him slightly into the lead. Not too much to think about there, I don't think. He kept an R, didn't he? I can't see. Oh, apparently he does have the S. So, yes, Crackle's suggesting uneasy, but for 43. He's drawn a blank in the meantime. Rashid spotted nanowire through the A, so that'll go down quickly. I don't think there's another bonus there. Obviously, it's risky because he's stopping one short of the triple, but he can't do much about that. It's a lot more than the alternative, so he has to play it and hope that Jason doesn't have anything. Sadly for him, he does. He does have the S, and he's drawn X blank as well, so he could play luxuries as he's got lined up. But I imagine Xeris is better because it scores more and keeps the blank. 96, I think, for that. If you play Xeris. Luxuries is only 78, so Xeris is clearly better there. Takes off nanowires and keeps that blank. In the meantime, Rashid's drawn the other blank, so imagine we'll see a bonus from him once Jason's played. Jason now has lined up Xeris, so that'll go down, I would think, unless there's a 7 there, which I've not seen. Yes, Jason has played Xeris for 96, so that's turned out well for him. Puts him into a 40-point lead, and he's still got the blank, so he'll be feeling pretty good about that exchange. Yeah, there's Luxuries is the only bonus there, according to Quackle. There's also things like Exurbs, but they use the blank, so there's no point in doing that. Xeris is clearly better than those. Rashid has drawn ABNOTU blank. So he can play things like Butanone off the E. It's got Taborin, someone's suggesting in the chat through the R or the I of nanowires. Nanotube Butanone. Also Turbofan, as someone's pointed out. There's Butanone atop Xeris as well. I've not seen that. That's very nice. Sort of thing that's easy to overlook. So he's got a few options here. Can he find the best one? It's worth spending a bit of time to find the best bonus if you have a blank. It's easy to overlook things like Butanone that make 4 other words, especially with the blank, because you've got to think about what the blank's going to be. Jason's drawn the Z in the meantime, so if Rashid does play Butanone, Jason will have Zobu or Zebu through the B for 75. And he has seen Butanone, but he's not made the optimal positioning for that. Just the face value one, 68. Which is actually good defensively, but I think in that situation you do have to take the extra 20 points, even though you're putting the B and the 9 timer lane. The B in that position is not very threatening. About the worst thing that could happen is someone playing Zebu or Zebu. So yeah, a bit of a miss from Rashid there. Make him to regret the loss of points. Quackle's flashing up. The other bonus is runabout. It's quite nice from the R. But yeah, 20-point loss there for Rashid. Jason kept U blank and he's drawn ELLOZ. I'll look for a bonus. I don't see one immediately. You can play Luz next to Butanone, which he's already starting to lay down. That would concede easy points next to... let's put ZO next to the double word square, so it's likely to concede 30 to 40 points. You could play Zol as he's lined up now, which gives a lot less away, scores the same. Does keep the U, but I imagine Rashid's average score after Zol is going to be much less than it would after Luz, so good play. Quackle's suggesting Uzul in the same position for 49. Yeah, extra points getting rid of the U. Does open up a bonus lane for bonuses ending in L or S or similar. So, but he does have the blank, so it's quite easy for him to hit those. But he's played Zol. Rashid 14 points behind has drawn Degiipr. You can play things like Jip or Pig next to Butanone for about 30 or so. 28. Those are the obvious plays, keeping DEIR, which is very pleasant. Although it's already becoming quite difficult to score on this board. Top left remains unused, and maybe a while before we get to use it, because the only way to get there is to hook word ending A or O, or A or O near the end of a word. And the bottom right's reasonably accessible, but to score anything, you have to play quite a long word to do that. Possibly the main scoring spot at the moment is hooking QINS, so 5-letter player down there would score well. Rashid's gone for ripe, just keeping GI. Opted for the extra points. I think I would prefer Pig or Jip there, although there are a lot of E's to come. There was only 4 on the board prior to that move, so 7 unseen. I'm not sure GI is going to work that well on this board, though, so on balance, I think I would prefer either Jip or Pig. Jason has drawn, he kept ELU blank, he's drawn AAL. So awkward right there for him. Don't see a bonus offhand. He's got Alula lined up, so you may be thinking of playing that, making AB just to try and open up the top left. He was about to put it down there, but he's changed his mind. But no, he's playing it now. Playing quite quickly. Clackle suggesting ALU at M4, making EAU best statically. Does block that QINS hook, which he may want to use himself, but anyway, he's played for Alula. Keeping E blank. Rashid's drawn nicely. He kept GI, he's drawn EMNOS. So promising rack. He's got ignominies off the eye of nanowires, at least. Not seeing anything else straight away. He does have Miss Gone, but I don't think that plays anywhere. It's not a great board for 7s at this point. It's mostly 8s we're playing for. There is that one opening hooking QINS, which I imagine will get hit at some point. Although if Rashid does play ignominies, it will cut out bonuses starting with S from that position. Jason's drawn quite well. If Rashid does play ignominies, then Jason will have things like Theranos off the S of ignominies. He may well have a 9-timer that I've not seen yet. Just look a bit harder. Not seeing a 9-timer if he did. There's things like Furanos, Farnesol. It's regrettably being pointed out in the chat. Also Foramens and Profanes, which I've not immediately thought of. But all that depends if Rashid does find this bonus. And he does need to, because Jason sitting with the blank would be favourite if he can't find it. Not the easiest one to see, beginning with an I. You probably won't look too hard at that I. It's just a case of finding it, basically. He's not given any sign that he's seen it yet. He's been shuffling around a fair bit with this rack. He's lined up Mog. He may be thinking of playing that next to Yeen or next to a Lula. And he is playing Mog, so he's missed Ignomy's. Likely to prove expensive with Jason sitting with a strong rack. Ignomy's is the only bonus, as Quackle points out. So Jason kept E blank, and he's drawn AFNOR. Don't see anything immediately with that rack. So the board's getting very closed. Hard to score much. This rack. Rashid's drawn nicely in the meantime. He's got inner sight. Jason separated FA from his rack, so he may be thinking about playing FA next to Zol, which he is, for 27. If there's no bonus there, then it's probably the best play. Crackle says there aren't any. So there's just 2 points in it so far. Imagine Jason will bonus pretty soon. He's drawn an S, so he should do next turn. Rashid sitting with inner sight. Again, I'm not seeing any playable bonuses immediately with that. Jason's got plenty of options with his rack. It's a very strong and flexible rack. So things hooking QIN, so scorned. Might be something playing parallel parallel to Yeen as well, ending in S. Canoes being pointed out in the chat, which slots in nicely, making QINS. Yeah, it's a tough spot for Rashid. Can't score a great deal. Ball's getting fairly blocked. Not sure if you can infer anything from Jason's last play. FA is a move you can make with a variety of racks. So you probably won't suspect that Jason's got the kind of rack that he does have. Nonne is one suggestion under Vaggi, making go in QIN. Scores nicely, keeps the IST, which is a very strong leave. Not seeing a great deal else, really. So you could play Wino and create another S hook, but somewhat interferes with the QIN hook. If either one of those are taken, then it'll block the other one automatically. Rashid opting to fish. He's played off IO next to Nanowire, which is somewhat blocky. Jason's lined up recoins, which will also fit next to Yeen. Does put the R in the triple lane, which is slightly more useful than the C. But yeah, it's going to be 90-point play or so. Will Rashid pick a 9-timer if Jason does? play recoins. He's drawn MT, so he's got smitten, but after recoins that won't. Oh, it will play above, making smog. And Minets as well. It puts the E in through the E recoins if it's played. And yes, Jason's playing recoins. So it's good he didn't put down the first thing he saw. He looked a bit and found high scoring play. It's 93-point move. So what Rashid didn't do with his blank earlier, Jason's found the, guessing must be the highest scoring play there. Unless there's one that doesn't put the blank. Okay, now Canoes is one more, but yeah. 10-point difference between that and the obvious plays like Scorned or Sericon, which could prove vital later on. So yeah, good stuff from Jason there. So Rashid drew MT, so Minets, smitten. Should see one of those. Line up smitten, so he's seen that. Doesn't give away, doesn't put a vowel next to triple like Minets does. On the other hand, smitten does leave the 9-timer lane open. Though that may not be such a big threat given both the blanks have gone and most of the S's. But yes, he has played smitten. 6 points fewer than Minet's. Be interesting to see how those two compare to one another during simulation, but it's been his choice. Jason's still with a 14-point lead with a few triples to use. There's like a fairly clunky rack. He's drawn FTTRCU and one other tile I can't see. Oh, it's P according to the Quackle output. So that's fairly awkward. He can play Pewter, I think. Puter. I think Pewter's good. Rashid had played Minets. I'm not sure if Jason could have done that much with the triple. You'd have things like Cup. But that would keep 4 consonants, which on this board is likely to be a recipe for disaster. Rashid's drawn a quite powerful rat for next turn. With the WHK, should be able to score something next turn. And a fair clutch of vowels as well. Don't think Jason can really use that R from recoins. So it's consonants are clunk and he's only got the one vowel, so not a great source of points for him, really. Jason's going for putt through the T of smitten for 21. Puta is good. Puta isn't. I'm probably thinking of Puta, but anyway. So yeah, Puta 42 points. Rashid's immediately played Kuhl, making good use of that weak spot for 40 points. Quackle's suggesting KOW in the same place, keeping the 2Es, although there are still a few to come. So that puts Rashid slightly ahead, 9-point lead. Jason's drawn well. He kept CFRT and he's drawn EIS, which is about the best pick he could have got. So he'll be looking to play through the E of coins for 50 points or so. So things like fires or feces. You can also play through the R of recoins, so things like ferric, for example, although that's not as good as feces, which he's got lined up. That would be 53, I think. $51. That will put him at a big advantage for winning this game because the board's very closed. Not much scoring potential left. Rashid does have the H to go next to UG for 30 points or so. Jason's played Feisters, which is slightly better than Feces, keeping that E. But the main thing is he's used that spot, scored 50 points. And given the board, 40-point lead is worth about at least twice that on most other boards, I would think. So with that play, unless something odd happens, I think he's probably got this one wrapped up. Rashid's drawn the other H in the meantime. He's got EHHIORY. He's immediately using the UGH spot. He's playing RHY. Might be worth keeping the Y just for scoring potential. Roughly a 50-50 split for vowels and consonants. So keeping EHIO a little imbalanced. But anyway, he's played right for 35, so he's 7 down. He's drawn J in the meantime. Jason kept ERT and he's drawn BIOT. So scoring very limited on this board. Could play Bort through the UGH. Scores reasonably well. Oh, sorry, that's what Quackle thought he'd drawn. Yeah, the camera showing he's got 2 E's, so BDEEORT he's got, which is a bit nicer than what Quackle thought he had originally. It's tough to score much with that rack. So you could still play Bort or Bow using the UGH. Could just play Rab top left. 17, just scoring a bit. Blocks Raj, which might be useful. J does play making jam or jab, so J might be useful on this board if you have the right tiles to go with it. Yeah, it's a tough situation. Yeah, scoring's difficult. And you won't want to give easy opportunities for Rashid to score in this pre-endgame situation. It's currently 8 vowels and 6 consonants unseen to Jason. So the J and the V will be a bit clunky. J looks semi-useful for scoring. Jason's playing Reb, making Bam, 17. Which doesn't give that much away. Was the last R though, so might have been useful to keep that. Quite suggesting Boet in the same position, making Tam or just Bow. It's been pointed out in the chat that Bort takes an A in front of it, which I'd forgotten about, so yeah. Can't really do that with 3 A's unseen. So Jason's played Reb for 17, puts him 24 ahead. Rashid's drawn the J. He kept E8. He's drawn 3 constants actually, D, G, J. So he can score with the J. He can play jog and jab. We can play high jab or hijab actually. That's a big play if he sees it. 51. Also would leave 1 in the bag, so it's a pretty ideal play. Put him in an excellent position if he finds it. I may have been a bit premature when I said Jason almost had it locked up, but yeah, high jab would be a real killer blow on this board. Scoring 50, almost impossible without that. But will he see it? He's missed a couple of things in this game already. If he doesn't find it, what would he be likely to play? So he could play jog and jab. Probably want to play 3 to avoid emptying the bag. Could also play jog and fag or similar, but that does give away easy points, which on this board you really can't afford to do. Would there be any bonuses through the H possible? I can see Athetoid from the unseen through the H. Don't see any others immediately. It's probably the only realistic way to lose after playing either of those, either hijab or hijab. So he probably does have to find it. Probably going to struggle otherwise. Jason's drawn the V in the meantime, which is a little awkward from his perspective in terms of scoring, but we'll see if Rashid can find his best move. Don't know what the time situation is at the moment. I think the game has been reasonably quick, about 35 minutes or so. So I think Jason's played pretty quickly. Rashid's taken a little longer, so Rashid's probably got about 10 minutes left. Oh, he has found it. He has played hijab. So he's thought that through. He didn't see it straight away, but he has found it. That's likely to win the game for him. So Jason, he kept DEOT, kept VAT, has drawn VAT. Rashid's drawn 3 vowels in the meantime, so it looks like the last tile in the bag is an A. So it's looking pretty bleak for Jason. Can he try to fish off for a bonus? So Athetoid is possible with the Unseen, but there's no other bonus line that he can hit. So even if he did draw the Irish, he'd be able to block it easily enough. Try going at him too by playing things like Waved, which would put him 3 behind. But he's not going to score much next turn, keeping Tot and drawing a tile. Don't really see what he can do here. It's just slightly too far behind. And he can't really score a great deal with what he has. A Watted being suggested of the O. Scores 24, puts him 3 behind, and then he have AVA as his final rack. Rashid could play things like Geoid, I guess. Probably something better than that, or Edged, I guess. 24. Then Ava wouldn't quite score enough, I don't think. Does Watted ever win, out of interest? Can we do a sim? Jason's put Waved on the board, but he's taken it back. Don't see that Waved would ever win. But yeah, it's hard to suggest much from him beyond that. See if Quackle can suggest anything worthwhile for Jason, if anything is remotely good in terms of winning. Quackle's suggesting that there aren't any wins for Jason at all, which is not that surprising, I suppose. It's just fishing off the V, VUGH. I guess trying to get Athetoid just to force your opponent to waste a turn blocking it. Jason's been a bit unlucky here. He's played the better of the two, but Rashid's had some good scoring plays towards the end, especially Hijab, which looks to have been decisive. After Feisters, I'd imagine he'd have been a strong favourite. But yeah, having those 2 H's certainly helped. Firstly for UGH and then obviously Hijab move after. Not sure what Jason's winning percentage after Feisters was, but it must have been upwards of 80%, I'd have thought. Just on this occasion, it's not worked out for him. Do we know how long Jason has left? Well, he has got Watford lined up by the looks of it. Quackle suggesting that, well, there aren't any wins, but it's number 7 on the list of plays. No, Jason's opted for waived, as he put down a couple of minutes ago. So that will put him 3 behind. He'll draw the A as the last tile in the bag. Rashid can play dodge or something through the D of waived. That should be enough to win. Or Gadoid as he's got lined up, which is a bit more Gadded or Gadoid. 24, 26 points. Should be more than enough to win. Rashid's played a do and a high jab, which should be enough to win. Quackle says Gadoid, goaded. But yeah, they're all enough to win. Jason can't do a great deal with a TTO. A do also sets up G next turn under a do for almost 30 points, I think. So that'll get him close to 500. Jason can do tot or tat under waived. Or he could try blocking under a do if he wants to, although he's not going to score much if he does. He could play jot or something just to remove the sting from G, like still play get or something. Don't think he has an outplay of that rack. Can also play taught through the UGH, but he's opted for Tau, 13 points. Michael says Jot is actually the best move, just to stop Rashid from scoring so many with G. Then he'd have Teo next turn to go out, or same word parallel to Reb. But yeah, doesn't do him much good. He's still going to lose either way. So Rashid 13 ahead. He can play G under a do, which I imagine he'll play fairly quickly because it's going to be easily the best scoring move on here. And he does. And then Jason will have a T. get 6 with it, I think. Six in 2 different places, which means Rashid will win by 34 by the looks of it. It's been a high-scoring game. Said earlier, Rashid made a few mistakes. Jason played the better of the two. Got squeezed out at the end thanks to Rashid's high-scoring plays after the last bonus exchange. So yes, Rashid's won by 34. He'll remain at the top, I think. I think he was top on thread before, but he's only won by 34, so he might get overtaken. Saying in the chat that Dave beat David by 140, I think it is. See how that affects the standings. I think next game we've got Rashid against Noah, if I'm correct. I'll be back for that game, but for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you shortly. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lewis Mackay, and I'll be your commentator for this forthcoming match between Rashid Balagun and Noah Slatkoff. We saw Rashid in the last game. He beat Jason Keller by about 30 points. He's currently in second place, just 3 points of spread behind Adam Logan. In third and fourth, we have Dave Wiegand and David Koenig, who currently have exactly the same record. Equal number of wins, equal spread points. Rashid's going first in this game. Rack's pairing now. Slightly clunky. He's got ACGHIIS. So he could play GHI. Keeping ACIS, which is pretty strong leave. You'll want to get rid of at least 2 of the CGH. GHI would be one way of doing that. He's played Chig, which is not valid. Looks to be drawing. So it looks like it's not been challenged. Tiles haven't appeared yet. They have now, so he's gotten away with a phony on the very first move. No, in the meantime, has drawn much more clunky Iraq. He's got HIIJOUOKU. You can play Jucko through the C of Chig or Jock. Does at least dispose of some of the junk, but he's not going to be able to get rid of most of it. Of course, to play Hioi as he's lined up, that will go underneath Cheg, keeping JKU, which is a bit more defensive. Although you can still play things, hooking CH either end for a score. Hioi does look a bit better than either of the players using the J through the C, because it does at least avoid leaving duplicates on your rack. And he has opted for Hioi. So yeah, on balance, that looks to be the best play. Rashid kept AIS. He's drawn 3 vowels and a C. So still some vowel problems then. He'll look to play underneath the CH, one would think. So Chow or something, making OC, keeping SOA or something. Could play a Chew, I guess, ACHOO, which does at least get rid of some of the vowels. Doesn't score much, but the rack lead is a bit better than it will be after Chow. He's got something different. He's gone for Ohio through the HI. Just 8 points. Quite suggesting a Chew is best statically. Does open the board nicely and keeps probably the best possible lead from that rack. Not sure Ohio is really that good. ACIOS is probably not strong enough to outweigh the 8 points that he's getting. It's point sacrifice. But we'll see. He's drawn well. He's drawn ER, so he'll be bonusing next turn. Noah kept JKU. He's drawn an S, another U, and a couple of A's. He's got Juku's lined up. And he's going to hook out higher and play it out, which looks like the obvious thing to do. Scores 40, takes off the opening that Rashid just created. Keeping AA is quite useful because it means he can play something under Juku's next turn if he draws a constant that fits under a U, which is likely to do. That looks like a challenge because tiles have been turned face down. Checking Juku's, I assume. Yes, that's right. So extra 5 points for Noah. Gives him a nice lead on this board. Though, as we know, Rashid just played off 2 tiles. He's going to be bonusing next turn, so that lead will be short-lived. Rashid can play Scoriai or Orises, score well. Scoriai can hook either Hioi or GI. Either one triples the C, but either one does leave the E in the triple lane. There's also Orises hooking Chigs, which of course we know Chig doesn't take an S because it's not a word to begin with. Will Noah check the second time? Don't think he has by the looks of it. Rashid's drawing again. So yeah, maybe some nerves from Noah not challenging either of Rashid's early phonies. Noah, in the meantime, is drawn BEFNR. So he can make use of the J position that he opened last turn, play something like Fear, making JA and UR. Could also play Face Bar through the sea of Orises just to open up things a bit. He's not that far behind though, so I don't think that's necessary. So I think anything using the J, he could even play Bajan or something, which scores well. 34 keeps the FR, which is pretty reasonable. He's playing Fran, is that? Which is not a word either. But he's drawn. This is rather bizarre. All these phonies being played and not being challenged. It's not quite what we expect to see on board 1, but there you go. Rashid, he played a bonus, so he's drawn a fresh rack. Just 2 vowels for him. He's drawn ILNOPTT. And he's going to make use of the JA spot that's been opened up. So he's playing Pilot. Underneath there, that'll score him about 40, I would think. .43. Backle says that's best statically. There's various other players you can make there. Pinto, Piton, Pitot. Pilot does leave that, does leave an error above a triple word, a letter score. So maybe Pinto might have been a little more defensive. Noah kept ABE's drawn INNW. So he can make use of the triple square that Rashid's opened up, where he can play Fawn from the F as he's doing. Just gets rid of the W and the duplicate N, keeping BEIN. Not the best leave, but it's not too bad. The floaters of Orises will certainly help with that. And he can play the B next turn under Pilot, so it might not be too bad. Buckle says winner under Pilot is best statically, but it does concede a fair few points under it, so imagine Fawn will be there or thereabouts for that move. Rashid's drawn well. He kept NT from Pilot, and he's drawn EFIOS. which looks promising. It's lined up notifies, but that doesn't quite fit. Don't think he has anything here. I'm not seeing anything. If there isn't anything, then something simple like OF under pilot's probably going to be best. Opens up the triple line. He has the T to go there, and track's so flexible that you'd think you'd get a bonus next turn with just about any pickup he can get. Noah's drawn badly in the meantime. He's drawn another 2 ends in the queue, so he's going to struggle to score much next turn with those clunky letters. Rashid is playing OF. Suspected he might. Yes, Quackle says there's no bonuses there, so off or if under pilot. It's going to be a strong play. So Noah with the awful rack there. He can play Nickab through the A Lorises, but that gives a lot away. There's the obvious S hook. He is opting to play it, which will block unwrites for Rashid. He will be able to score with the Nickab's hook though, so it's not that big of a loss for him. Or the Sank, something I always forget about. 30, which keeps BENN. Imagine Sank must be far and away the best move there. Scores 30, gets rid of one of the ends. Not a great leave, but you're scoring 30 and get rid of the Q, so you can't complain too much. Rashid drew UW. So, as I said, unwrites got blocked by Nickab. Plenty of easy plays he can make, hooking Nickabs. So wins, wits, anything really. Or wuss, if he wants to balance a bit. He's playing wins. There's 4 T still to come though, so might want to play the T rather than the U. Quackle suggests wuss is best statically because its lever is much stronger than wins, even though win scores 10 more. E and T is vastly preferable to ETU. But anyway, so yeah, 56 points for Rashid gives him a 74-point lead. Noah's Rock has improved a bit, although it's still not great. He kept ENN last time, drew AELV. Play things like Venin through the eye of Nickabs just to balance a bit. Does take out that bonus line. He's a bonus down now, so it's got to be mindful of keeping the board open in some way. Still is the opening under of, though he lacks a T for it at the moment. He could easily draw one as there's 5 to him unseen. Although that's just that place will get taken fairly soon with so many tiles there that'll play. There's also the line under GI for an easy place for a 7, although it won't score much. It'll probably give back at least 30 points on the triple, so not much to gain there. He is playing Venin. Actually, playing Venin might be worth doing because there's a lot of E's to come. Still 2 blanks out, of course, and also a better chance of drawing a T to use the oft hook. Quack suggesting Venial, Valine, or Alvine, or Venin. Any of those are little better than Venin. A few more points and another tile turned over to try and get a tile that he needs to be able to play on this board. Rashid has drawn a blank, due AAB blank. So he's got the tableau, hooking oft. Which he's playing. No, Tabula is playing the anagram. Of course, just Bato, double T spelling of Bato, scores 2 points more. Also doesn't open up. Tabula doesn't put a vowel next to the Bato, so it's not too bad. Next to the triple word square, little score, I should say. Noah's challenging Tabula by the looks of it. So I've been another 5 to Rashid. So he's now nearly 140 ahead, on a board that's not very bonus friendly. There's still the GI hook. There's no hook to tabulae, of course, so we can play something ending in E, from Venin or tabulae, or ending the end of Venin, either one of them. Beyond that, that's all there really is for bonus plays, and so Noah's going to need at least 2 bonuses to have a chance in this one. So it's already looking very bleak for him. So anyway, yeah, the back now. So Noah kept AEL, Drew gave. He's playing Wave from the W wins. Michael's suggesting a Wave is slightly better, although you don't want to play too many tiles here because you give yourself a chance of playing 2 bonuses, and playing more tiles isn't going to help with that. So Wave opens some bonus lines that you're going to need, puts him 108 behind, scores well and balances. So yeah, it's a pretty good play. Rashid with a fresh rack following his blank bonus. He's drawn DDEGORZ. So you can play DZO, making JID, which will take off that EC7 line. Though it will open up one for an F7 with an S in the middle of it. But it does score very well. Can't complain too much about that, scoring that kind of score there. Noah's picked Regalia, so he's got Regalian using either end of Venin, which will give him a chance to get back into the game. Also opens up a 9 timer, so Rashid's going to have to waste time blocking that. Then maybe Noah can draw the other blank and play another bonus and give us a close game. Not giving any impression that he's seen it yet. If he misses this, then he's not going to win the game, and he's missed it. So yeah, Regalian, the only playable bonus there. So yeah, missing that is this game's only going one way after that, really. So Rashid 120 ahead. He kept DEGRs, drawn ELT, so reasonably balanced rack. Should be easy to play something and just try and accelerate the end of the game. So something through the A of Eiger would suggest itself. Something like Glade, maybe, which he actually does have lined up. That would take off the Eiger's hook and any bonus through the A. Plays 4 tiles. Doesn't score much, but it's not biggest concern here. He just needs to just try and get to the end of the game as soon as possible. And yes, he is playing Glade. That'll put him about 140 ahead. Quackle's suggesting Verged for 30. Does open a triple line that's only scoring 30 and playing another tile, so I think whatever he does there, he's unlikely to lose. He's just too far ahead, and this board is going to be very hard to bonus twice on it. Noah has drawn the second blank, so if he had played Regalia, he might have had a chance, but as it is, that's not going to be the case in this game. He kept ELR's drawn EOR blank. Not seeing anything immediately with that. Noah's quickly played Woe, making Jape. Crackle's saying there isn't any bonuses there. 25 ELRR blank's a bit clunky. But he does need to keep scoring. Can't really afford to fish there. So that puts him 114 behind. Rashid keeping RT drew DELT. So he could play Vetted from the V of Wave just to score and try and get to the end of the game as soon as possible. It's probably his best score, I would think. There's not really much else he can do on this board. No, his play of Woe suggests a pretty good rack. He's playing off the 2 tiles. So he may be concerned that if he does play Vetted, he might be letting him in for a bonus. Not many bonus lines left. There's the V and the E of Wave. Floaters of Venom. That's it, really. Vetted would create a new line that's far and away the easiest to use. But even if he does score by 80 there, he's only gained 50 points. It's currently 15 in the bag, so after that there'll be 3 in the bag, I think, and he'll be still be 70 ahead. So then any play blocking Legends of Venom will be enough. So he can't really lose from here. He's opted for Turled for 11. Which does block those bonus lines. Turns over 5 tiles. Keeps TE. It's a good blocking play. So it gets him towards the end of the game. Huckle's suggesting Vetted or Verted, best statically, but they can't really complain about Tull. It does a lot of things well there. Noah, in the meantime, has drawn IY, so probably the 2 best bonus lines have gone now. And IY isn't going to help him much. Let's get one. So he's trying to he's opening a 9 timer with Idly 30, keeping ERR blank. Probably not a great chance of hitting anything. There's not that many vowels left. But they've got to try something there. So it's very unlikely to work, but they've got to try something. So that puts him 95 behind. Rashid kept ET. He's drawn 2 more E's and an S. The last S in the bag. So yeah, I'll just be looking to take out that Y. It's the only realistic threat left to him at this point. So anything there will do. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. So Mosey maybe onto the Y for 30. Or EOTS or something. So it doesn't really matter. You can even play to hook Glades, so Most or Meso or something. Anything that impedes that Y is going to be enough. You can even play things like Mo under Turled. Even that's enough to block the Y. Don't know how many 9-timers are actually possible with the Unseen. So there's only 3 vowels left. Pre-typed, I think, is one. So there's not many. The lack of vowels really militates against that. So another Y in the X Unseen, 3 R's. So it's very unlikely he actually has anything, but may as well block it because can't score a great deal without blocking it. So may as well do it. Rashid is lined up meets, so you may well be thinking of playing that above Tabulae, hooking Glades. Scores well. Leaves the Y open, which, as I say, it's not a huge risk, but it's the only realistic way you can lose the game. So be well advised to block it. There, in the meantime, it's drawn the X. Don't think there's be a bonus there, so looks like you may end up not getting a bonus with that blank. There was also Moti as well, which I've not thought of, but yeah, so it doesn't really matter anything there. It blocks the Y is going to suffice to win the game. Don't know what the time situation is, but I think the game's been reasonably quick, so it's not going to be an issue. Rashid is playing on the Turl. He's playing Met, keeping 3 vowels, which is not the worst idea because there's only 3 vowels unseen. But yeah, anything blocking the Y is good enough. So yeah, so that puts him on 402. He's 113 ahead of Noah. Noah with the X and the blank, with just 4 tiles unseen. Ideally, he'd like to get rid of RUX or similar, trying to open it up somehow. But I don't think that's going to be possible. Could burn the blank and play Pyrex or something. He's gone for Mux and Zax, which, yeah, it's good play. Puts him about 80 behind, I think. 79. Leaving 1 in the bag. So he's drawn that 3rd R, which isn't going to help. Rashid, so he drew 3 consonants, unsurprisingly. TTY. So I want to make sure that there aren't any bonuses available to Noah using the floaters of Venin. You may end up blocking that just to be sure. Same with a blank and unseen. Easy to overlook something, so you may just play up there just to be sure. Not see anything immediately possible with those letters that Noah could play as a bonus. So yeah, it's been a weird game. 3 phonies, well, 2 phonies, but one of them got pluralized, so it's technically 3 phonies. And then all those played by Rashid, and then which Noah didn't challenge, and then when Noah did challenge one of Rashid's words, it was a valid bonus. So somewhat self-inflicted, this loss, really. Sorry, Rashid played 2 phonies and Noah played Fran. None of them were challenged. But yeah, Noah's had some clunky racks. Rashid's always been able to score well. But yeah, very costly, not challenging those phonies. In general, if your opponent plays a word and you're not 100% sure of it, do challenge it. No matter how stupid you might be, you're thinking you're making yourself look. You'll feel a lot worse if you find out that it's not a word afterwards, as opposed to 5 points that you'll give your opponent sometimes. Rashid has playing with the triple E, opened up last turn, playing Yi under Met. I was saying Yi or Yo in that position are equally good. So if there's no possible 7 or 8 onto the floaters of Venin, then pretty much anything is fine. So now with the 3 R's, the blank, EEP, Rashid has drawn D as the final tile. There I'll be looking to use the Y idly. He's playing Yeah by the looks of it. Has prayed very quickly in this game. Did miss Regalian as a result, which was very costly. Quackle's Jesting, Riper is best statically through the Y, and also best overall. Year is 4th best, 9 points worse than Riper. Does have Preen as outplay or Perv next turn. Rashid with Sotted on his rack. Is he playing ODS and Nods under Japed? Yeah. 23. Probably his highest scoring play, yeah. Node or Nods or Meds. Any of those are optimal. So now we'll probably go out with Preen. 16. Which means that think Rashid has won by 90. Yes, 90 points. So Rashid wins 4-5-3, 3-6-3. So fair few errors in that game. To the 3 unchallenged phonies and miss bonus by Noah. Rashid moves to 11 wins now. 11, 12, 12, I think. Adam Logan was ahead of him on spread by 3 points. May still be after his game, we'll see. So that concludes round 14. So hope to be back soon. Thanks for joining us, and bye for now. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Lewis Mackay. I will be your commentator for this match between Adam Logan and Jeffrey Newman. Adam is currently second, and it's him to start. He's drawn AAIOOV blank. No bonuses there, so probably play AVO or OVA, I would imagine. AVO probably because it takes the S hook and he's got the blank hook on the end. And indeed, that's what he's played. Not much to think about there. So Jeffrey has drawn AEEIOTY. Val Heavy Rack. Won't be able to do too much with that. So the nice thing about a play like Arvo is that it doesn't give much away for the opponent. They're not going to be able to score much unless they have a bonus through it or hooking it. So Jeffrey could play IE, AY, YEE from the A of Arvo for 16, which would get rid of some of his vowels, keeps AOT, which is not the best sleeve, but it's somewhat balanced at least. Could play OYE above or below a vowel. So only scoring 12, still keeping 3 vowels. In fact, it's up to change, keeping just the E. I think keeping the T would be better as well, the ET or AET. But changing perfectly reasonable there. It's not much you can score really. Crackle stressing IE is best statically. So yeah, change 6, keeping the E. Adam's drawn well in the meantime. He kept AIO blank. He's drawn ERS. So could have scarcely gone any better for him. But he won't be able to score that much. The bonus, probably his best bet is to hook a vow. Sorry, a vow. Keep hooking the S onto a vow. Might try and form a right angle to block out one quadrant of the board for the time being. So anything ending in S or anything starting with S would do that. There are plenty of words that would fit that pattern. Want to try avoiding putting too many vowels next to triple letter squares. Could play isobear maybe in Arvos. Does avoid putting vowels next to premium squares. Does leave the top right open. There's a simple bonus lane there. Then he's leaving all those floaters available, but he's going to leave helpful floaters whatever he plays, so can't really avoid that. Maybe Soridia would be reasonable. Hooking Arvos just puts the A next to triple letter square. Only hooks with the L. You're looking out the top right of the board. If you play anything next to Sordia next move, you're going to block it, block the floaters. Adam's playing Carios by the looks of it. So takes an S on the front of it. Still, it puts the 2 vowels next to premium squares and leaves the bottom right open, so it's quite an open play, but not ludicrously so. Think on balance, Isobear might be a little better than that, but we'll see. Jeffrey changed. He kept the E. It's drawn AACDHO. So saying keeping the T there would have been useful, but it's not what he did. We'll be looking to see if he can get a 4-timer through the R of Karios. Don't think there's one there. Anyway, that'll be trying to balance. You could play something like Hoa or Coach from the Sea of Karios. Hoa is quite blocky, so probably want to avoid doing that. He is a bonus down. Early days, of course, but doesn't want to block his floaters in that manner. Hard to suggest much, really. It's not that easy to score if you don't have the 4-timer or something valuable to play through the A of Karios. Could go for turnover and play Cordai or Roached. But so do you really want to play that many tiles for what isn't that many points? Probably not. You may end up playing Hoa or Heo because there isn't really much better than that. So it's a good lead ACDE. It's blocking the R, which is useful for him, or would be useful for him to leave open, but don't think he can achieve too much with what he has. And yes, he is playing Heo. So that's 23. Quackle saying Hoa or Heo is best statically, but they can't really score all that much. Adam's immediately playing Trizonal through the A of Avos. Heo blocked the high scoring possibility of that, but still left one available, so nothing to think about there, just goes down immediately. So Adam already with a 125-point lead. Board is not that great. It could become open though. Still the Scarios and airball bonuses available from the E of Karios. But yeah, it's already looking not that great for Jeffrey. See if he can draw anything good after Heo. It's drawn ABI. Abdicate doesn't quite fit through the T of Trizonal. You can make use of the Z and play things like Kaz or Biz just to open up a little to the left. Don't think he can score a great deal without using the Z. Oh, Bizarre, very nice. I've not seen that. Sort of play it's easy to overlook. Scores 34, keeps CDEI. Quackle unsurprisingly says that's the top move by some distance. That's good find there. Adam's drawn 5 vowels, 3 of which are E's, along with CD. So clunky rat for him. Has a 91-point lead. So we're looking to try and balance and not open up too much. Restrict the openings if he can, but maybe difficult given the sort of rat that he has. Could play things like Cube through the B of Bizarre or Severed. So not great leaves for either of those. Could look to play through the R of Trizonal, possibly, or the T. Could play Educe from the L of Trizonal, but that's the sort of play you'd make if you're behind, and obviously Adam's not behind, so probably want to avoid doing that. Don't think his rack's quite bad enough to exchange there. Cube is not that bad. I mean, it does open up another line, but it's face value one that's going to open up further scoring opportunities. So you'll probably play Cube, I would think, unless I'm missing something better. Jeffrey, in the meantime, drew the Q and X, having played 3 tiles. The Q is pretty bad on this board. There's no easy scoring place for it, and the X isn't that great either, although he will be able to score with it, so we'll see. Adam has lined up a deuce, and he is playing it. That's slightly surprising. It does balance, but it is a very open move. Packle saying it's best statically. Cube is second. Rekid is nice through the RC of Trizonal and Karios, hooking Heo to make CHAO. So quite a bold play from Adam. We'll see if it pays off for him. Jeffrey said drew QX and I. Floating U for him now for the Q. That's not much use because it's not going to score anything if he does use it. He does have the D to hook on to Reduce, but he's playing Caddy, which is probably best. That's a good play. Scoring 30. Doesn't really block any bonus lines as such. There was the B, but that was always a fairly low priority bingo lane. Adam kept the I. He's 79 ahead. He's drawn the J. And another EI pair and a Y. The J is not that great on this board either. You can play things like G'd or Jerd onto the D of Educe. Both keep pretty foul leaves though. Could play Icy just to dump the I and the Y, keeping the R to hook that. But yeah, it's reasonably open as well. Could play Icier just to get rid of some of the vowels. Although, is JEY really that good on this board? Probably not. Excuse me. Could play Hey off the HA of Heo and Karios, which would get rid of some of the clunky letters, but keeping the J isn't that great. He's played Egypt off the T of Trizonal, which looks like a fair compromise. Scores something, keeps IOI, which isn't great, but it's going to struggle to have any kind of leave after any play he makes. Does open up triple, but it's not that dangerous. You can't score too much up there, so yeah, on balance, that's probably best. Jeffrey kept CEIX. He's drawn EFN. He can score with the X in the spot that Adam just opened on the top left. So EX would go there. Scores well. Opens up a nice volatile hook line for him to use, which he needs as he's still over 100 behind. Not sure what else he can do with the X, really. He can play exec off Karios, making EE for 31. Keeping Finn, that's not great. He's lined up Zenik, which he can play Zenik off the C of Educe, which is 44 points. Opens up the left a bit. Distracts Adam with the X triple opening, which will probably have to waste a turn blocking. Yeah, Zenit looks pretty good. I mean, CEF isn't the best leave, but when you're scoring 44 rather, then you're not going to be too picky about that. You may opt to keep the X, play off the F and C or something, but you can't really score much by doing that. Does he really want to keep the X when he's 100 behind? He wants to try and get a bonus as soon as he can, really. So yeah, it's got to be Zenik, really, I think. And yes, he's playing it. So that's 44. That puts him about 60 behind. 59, in fact. So it'll be Adam to play with ADIMRTY. Needs an H for Iridius. Don't think it makes anything with the E. You'll be looking to play through the X if there's no bonus available, or possibly hooking a juice to make a juiced. So Mardy and a juiced is one option there, which scores just under 50, I think, and blocks all those bonus lines. Well, it doesn't quite block the E of Zenik. You can still play things onto it, but it's not going to score much if you do that. You are opening a new line along the bottom, but say scoring 50, so still an excellent option. There's also Matrix onto the X of Zenik, which he's lined up for 45. But still keeping the DY, so you can hopefully play something using a juiced next turn. And you're also taking out the X, so that there aren't any more plays possible for Jeffrey next turn using that. You could play add mix or add mixed using the X as well. Those aren't quite as good as you're not keeping DY for reduced. So I think Matrix is probably best here, just because you're keeping scoring insurance for next turn with the DY, with making a juiced. And even if that gets blocked, you're probably going to get something atop Egypt for 30 or so. So it's a good idea to keeping scoring insurance when you're ahead, just so your opponent isn't making up too much ground, regardless of what they're doing. Yes, Adam playing Matrix. Yeah, it would be easy to rush there and play Mardy. Because it scores 48, but yeah, Matrix I think must be best because you're keeping the scoring endurance for next turn. So yeah, good job there. Jeffrey, in the meantime, he kept CEF. He's drawn the other F, which isn't the worst thing really. Two Fs go well together. And he also drew ALE, so he's got F-Ace L. You can play F under Egypt for an easy 30 points. You could play longer, play F-Ace and EE, just try and open up the bottom right. He's playing F under Egypt, which I think must be best there. If there's no bonus available, which there isn't. So, F above scores more. Sorry, he's played below it. Yeah, sorry, yes. I only considered the one below, but yeah, F above it's 4 more points. So Adam's still a bonus ahead. He's still 71 up. He's been able to use the adduced things, so he drew DEIOT, plays Toddy. Could also play Tiddy or Teddy in the same place, but they're scoring 46. So that's paid off for him, keeping that DY. And now he's nearly 120 ahead. Jeffrey's drawing now. He's drawn RWY. No floating A, sadly, for Clayware or Clearway. he can continue to score by playing things such as way or yaw under toddy, or a rye and yar under toddy as well, the other side. So he's keeping the scoring pressure on Adam and hoping to draw into a bonus at some point. Not that many vowels left, actually. Look, there's 15, I think, out of 41 unseen, so 25 consonants and a blank. So a rye may be better for that reason, just to play off the additional consonant. Jeffrey's lined up while, guessing he wants to play that next to Matrix, which scored pretty well, 29, I think. Keeping ACR, which is a good leave. Still a few E's to come. Be perfectly reasonable play. So Ryan Way score a little more than that, about 6 more. Not seeing a great deal else really. So lack of vowels makes it tough to score much. And yes, Jeffrey's gone for a while, so 29 there, keeping ACR. So pretty good leave. I suspect either way or a rise, both slightly better than that, but it's certainly a reasonable choice. Does leave the back bonus line uninhibited under toddy, which is useful, but he'll need to draw a few vowels to make use of that. In the meantime, Adam has a rack of 1 pointers. He kept EI and he's drawn AL and NO. Still a few scoring spots available under toddy. He may want to try and block the lines under toddy, so he could try and play along and play something like Eonian under toddy, making YE. The Z and the J have both gone, so putting the A there isn't so bad. Worst thing that could happen to his opponent plays the K. Play something across there. He could play Lino under toddy for 23, keeping AEN. So it's got to try and keep vowels because there's not that many left. I think there's 12 now left. So 1 in 3 unseen are vowels. Not that much. Don't want to end up in a situation where you run out of vowels and your opponent can make openings that you can't respond to, because that's an excellent way to lose a game that you thought couldn't be lost. Could play a top Egypt, so ANN or something if he wants to keep as many vowels as possible. That would score 21, which is pretty reasonable. Or he could say play the same word under toddy, try and take off that bonus lane along the triple. Yeah, maybe Lino is the best balance of scoring and leaving vowels. But Adam's playing something different. He's gone for online. Under toddy, so he's played 6 tiles. Obviously, there's the RN hook, and then there's bonus lines available over that, keeping the 1 vowel. Slightly surprising move. So it's quite open, gives fairly flexible bonus lines, and you're playing off most of your vowels. So we'll see how that works out. Jeffrey's drawn, he's not drawn well, he's drawn GOPT. He can play CAG next to while for 30 points or so, keeping port, which is reasonable, but so running out of vowels a bit. Speaking of which, Adam's drawn 6 consonants to his A, but he has drawn an S, which certainly helpful. Jeffrey can also play things like cop and toddy, but say surely have to use the NYC hook here and play CAG. Such a good score. So Adam's not scored that much last turn, so just trying to keep the deficit to 70, 80 points or so. That's what he needs to do. So for Gapo and Toddy, which scores about the same. But he's leaving 3 consonants, and so there are not many vowels left, so that could easily end up with a 6 or 7 consonant rack next turn. I think CAG must be best there. So say Adam kept A, he's drawn GLNPSW. So he can look to play above online to try and block the lines he's just opened. It's got pone spelt out. Which will fit next to while quite nicely for a good score and keep lags. I think pone must be best here because to get rid of 3 consonants, you're scoring almost 30 points. Not much else going really. I mean, you can play above online, but you're creating other openings as well. So pawn, 27 would put him 104 ahead. So trying to keep the lead above 100 would be a good idea. You could play pawn, PAWN over online. Just try and take out those bonus lines, but then you're opening up pawns. So you are keeping an S, but there are still 2 S's in a blank unseen. Yeah, online does create a bit of a headache in terms of board management later on, because say they're opening up easy lines. Yes, he is playing PWM next to while, which Quackle says is top statically. You can also play things like Wangle or Gorp around the E of online. But yeah, pawn must be best there. Jeffrey kept CRT. He's drawn BV, which is always an ugly combination, and a couple of vowels as well, EO. So you can play Havoc off the HA of Heo and Karios, just open up a bit. He's playing Bevel and Onliner, which is also that's good play. Although he is inhibiting the bonus lines a bit with that. He also play Obvert, a top Onliner for 34, which would open triple line, which probably vanish fairly quickly. But Bevel is, it's pretty good play. It's just that the bonus lines it does open up are not that useful. I think Havoc maybe a little better there in terms of opening the board a bit. But there we go. He's opted for Bever. So Adam 74 ahead. He's drawn another S. He's got soldiers spelt out. Here it comes. Would also have played Making Scarios, but playing it there is a bit more defensive. In fact, it's been challenged by Jeffrey, so it'll be another 5 to Adam, although, he probably does have to challenge it there, because if it's good, then the game's basically lost. There's not enough time left. Not enough tiles left, rather, to effect a comeback. So Soldiers puts Adam 150 ahead. There's only 5 in the bag, so Jeffrey can't bonus twice. And he's not going to anyway because he's drawn more T's. Quickly playing Kurt, leaving STTU. Adam's drawn into Thiamine, so more pain for Jeffrey. You know it's your game when your opponent gives you a T for 98-point play just after you've bonused. So this is turning into a rout here for Adam. Thiamine takes him to 500. He's now over 200 ahead, and he's going to empty the bag. Jeffrey's drawn the blank. A bit late, though. Adam's got GU on as his final rack. I think this is probably the most one-sided game we've had, certainly on the stream today. I don't know about the other days, but certainly today. Jeffrey can play Tisk, forming Bazaars for about 50 points. If there's no bonus there, then put the S on the end as well, I guess. So the blank on the end, because he's not getting another turn. So if there's no bonus there, then that'll be the best move. Not seeing one of that rack. It's been a pretty well played game on both sides. There's a few things I've quibbled with, but there's been no howlers. Just some nitpicking on my part, really. Don't think Jeffrey could have done a great deal different, really. So he's always behind. He's had some fairly clunky racks to deal with, and sometimes that's just one of those things. You play well, but tiles mean that you lose by over 150, as is going to happen here. So you just have to roll with the punches sometimes, unfortunately. Crackle saying that there is no bonus available, and either form of Tisks is the best play, or Sky. But sort of thing that's easy to overlook though, because TSK is not a board you get to play very often, and yeah, slotting in that fashion, so easily overlooked. I think he did have it spelt out earlier, so whether he's seen the spot or not, I don't know. Whether he's looking for a bonus, just making sure that he's not missing anything before playing it, possibly. No, he's missed it. He's playing Irk or Ark, not sure which one. Above Egypt for 34. Pretty good score, but it's not as good as Tisk's would have been. Adam goes out with GU next to Thiamine for 13 points. And that'll be just enough to notch up the 200-point win. It's Bug from the Beer Bazaar was 1 point better, but, doesn't make a difference. So Adam has won 5-2-1 to 3-1-8. Yeah, he always had a good lead. Jeffrey was struggling all the way through. Matrix was a nice play, keeping the score insurance for next turn. Not sure online was the best play, but it worked out nicely for him in the end. So he did pick out 6 consonants, but he was able to score and balance and then draw into those 2 bonuses at the end. In the end, Jeffrey couldn't really do a great deal. So that concludes this round. This is my final commentary game of the day. Hopefully someone will commentate for the next game. Thanks for joining us, and bye for now. Thank you.